background is just fascinating.
Yes.
So let's just go through it quickly.
Okay.
So just tell me, you came to this country from Uganda, and
Yes.
then just go from there.
Yes, I came to this country from Uganda. We came as endangered refugees. There was, crazy amount of war coming, and we actually were able to get a green card to Canada. And the fact that I came to Canada, and it's the first time in my life where it's like, I was able to have a couple of meals a day. You know what I mean? That was like, and then on top of that, just the love that I got, the love that I got in this country. I fell in love with this country. I fell in love with this country because I know without a shadow of a doubt, if I was in Uganda for a couple more years, I'd be dead. I'd be completely dead. So I have a different type of passion for Canada. And so on top of that, whatever city I'm in, I know this city, it represents me being alive, So I'm going to rep for that city as if it was no other thing in this world, as if it was my last thing in the world that I have to defend. So every city I'm in, I look for all the great things about that city, and all the negative things. I was in places, I lived in places where you cannot match that negativity to what this is. So anything that people may perceive as negative or not, the greatest things in life, is actually, I'm not trying to diminish their experiences, but taking into consideration on a global scale, Canada and majority of the cities in this country are amazing.
You think, right in the news just this last couple of days,
Yes.
is that situation up in North London, right? At
Yes.
Sobeys, right, where the guy was trying to prevent someone he was calling an illegal alien from leaving the store. I mean,
Yes.
that's what you're kind of talking. These are kind of one-off things.
Yeah,
Right?
you know what I mean? Like, you get that scenario,
Yeah.
or I'm walking over 12 bodies every single day just to go to school with missiles flying over my head. Which one you gonna take, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's not the majority here.
No.
You know what I mean? Those are bits and pieces here and there, but the majority of the city or the country is actually very amazing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just you arriving in St. Thomas.
Yes.
Hilarious backstory.
Yes.
So tell me about the gig that you were supposed to do in London.
Well, okay. I was doing a nationwide tour. Supposed to go to London, right? So now they tell the tour bus, hit Highbury. On the 401, once you get to Highbury, you make a right, go 20 minutes. That's London. Everything is great. The bus driver or the tour bus hits Highbury, goes left, 20 minutes. Now, at that time I was coming from, I believe it was Montreal. I don't know where I was coming from, but the first city I seen after 20 minutes, this must be the spot. So I'm in St. Thomas now. I'm looking all over the place. I can't find the streets and the areas, but it has similar streets. It has Talbot, it has Wellington, it has all these similar streets like London as well. So it's only and as we're in St. Thomas, I'm meeting amazing people. Like, you got to remember, I've been to New York, I've been to Toronto, all these other major cities, right? And you hit St. Thomas and people are like, "Yo, what's up, man? How you doing, man?" They don't know me. Marek, they don't know me. They're asking me over for dinner. They don't know me, right? So I'm like, what in the world is this? I never experienced something like this, Toronto's a lot more, hey, you keep to yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't dissing it because Toronto's amazing, but it is a city where it's like you keep to yourself and you don't speak unless you're spoken to, right? But here, just the amount of love and interaction and friendly atmosphere was like, it was so overwhelming that I was like, yo, this is the place, man. This is the place. And literally sold the house. Not even a couple weeks later, I was on my way to St. Thomas.
That's incredible.
That's it.
And that was a couple years ago.
That was a couple years ago, about 3 years ago, give and take a couple of months or whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you go home,
Yeah.
your wife at the
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
right? You go to your wife and say,
Yeah.
yeah, so found this great place. Well, how does she react?
You know what? See, my wife is more like me, right?
Yeah.
Like, both of us grew up, like, I grew up in Rexdale, Toronto, which is, a inner city where it's like, a lot of crime, a lot of, not so nice things. She grew up in the opposite hood right beside me, which was Jane and Finch, right? So we have a very similar mind frame in, you know what? If we could get a better life, or put ourselves and our kids in a position where it's like we could escape all these bullets and crime and all that kind of stuff, we're gone. You know what I mean? Like, we're not attached to nothing. I'm not attached to anything, you know what I mean? Meaning to say that I'm not going to sit there and say, well, you know what, this is the right move, but my family's here. This is the right move, but all my friends are here. Nah, it's about the moment right now. It's about the moment, what's best in that particular moment. And that's the same mentality I chose to run for mayor. You know, a lot of people, they was a little bit angry because they said to me that, you know what, you should be running for city council, right? And you're bypassing all of that, right? And running straight for mayor. But I say to myself, you know what? A lot of times people don't realize just because you're a great city council member doesn't mean you're going to be a great mayor. Just because you're a great mayor doesn't mean you're going to be a great city council. Like, I decided to run for mayor because I think St. Thomas needs what I have to offer today. You know, I don't think St. Thomas has 10 years to wait for that next change. And I believe I'm that next change. If people see it differently, that's okay. If I don't become mayor, that's perfectly fine. I'm still going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm still going to accomplish everything that I said I was going to do. The only difference is that it's going to take a lot longer. That's it.
Now, since you've announced your run,
yes.
Former MPP Joe Preston
Yes.
announces.
Yes.
Current Mayor Heather Jackson announces.
Yes.
So now, for the first time since, I believe, 1974, it's the first time there's been 4 people running for mayor of St. Thomas
Okay.
at the same time. Because Wookie is also
Wookie,
running, right?
yeah, Steve Wookie, yes.
Yeah, he was the first one to announce.
Correct.
Right? So, how do you take it now? Like, these are big hitters. One's a city councilor, one's the current mayor, one is a former MP, and how do you now view this race? You're going against, like, political elite.
Hey, they're humans, man. You know, like, I respect Joe. I respect Steve Wookie. I respect Heather, you know. Heather is running a city that a lot of bad stuff, you know, maybe not because of her doing, happened because they were just in a transition field, but she gets all the blame for it, right? So, I understand that she has to stand there and take those bullets. I respect that about her. Joe, you know, me and him, we do a lot of charity events dealing with mental health and a whole bunch of inner city stuff. I respect him 100%. Steve Wookie, I haven't really met him, but every single student I see or I encounter, they're like, yo, Steve Wookie's the man. Steve Wookie's the man. When students are saying, this dude is the man that's 63 years old, he gotta be the man. You know what I mean? So I love all 3 of them. You know what I mean? I love all 3 of them. I just bring up something a little bit different than all 3 of them because, yeah, majority of them, I believe, were born or at least raised in St. Thomas, right? I wasn't born in St. Thomas. I'm not even born in Canada. I mean, born in a different nation, right? So all these things that I believe are stagnating maybe people from going over that next level, it doesn't apply to me. I don't even understand the political world in the form of, you could do this, you can't do this. Well, if you do this, people are going to hate you. If you do that, people are going to like you. That doesn't apply to my brain. So I just do what's in my heart, and I do whatever I believe people want me to do. So I think that's the difference between me and these guys. And also, I'm able to speak to that street kid on the corner. You know what I mean? I'm able to speak to that kid. I'm able to speak to people that have been living in low income housing because I've been there my whole life. You know what I mean? And at the same time, I've worked with several people. I've worked with organizations like the Argos and all these other major corporations that I'm able to understand at the corporate level as well. So, and also living in Toronto, coming from Toronto, as you know, it's a very diverse city. You know, you pretty much could see 5 or 10 different races within that same block, within that same 5-minute span if you're walking down the street, right? So I totally understand the minority element of politics, meaning to say that maybe this group is not getting what they're supposed to be getting. Maybe that group is not getting what they're supposed to be getting. So I bring a different dimension. And also, for St. Thomas, I bring the perspective of the youth. You know what I mean? And St. Thomas is a great city, and it's an amazing city. And the city for many, many years, and this is to be applauded, was held down by the seniors. Was held down by the seniors. When the tragedy happened, when the 2008 and up, the seniors came in and said, you know what, we're going to hold this city down. We're not going to let the city crash. But those same seniors are almost a decade older. You know what I mean? So there needs to be another batch of youth coming up. I don't think 3 of those candidates speak to that batch that needs to come up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do.